have the honor to invite His Excellency Josaia Voreqe Bainimarama, Prime Minister and Minister for Aitaki Affairs, Sugar Industry, Foreign Affairs and Forestry of the Republic of Fiji, to address the conference on behalf of the Pacific Islands Forum.
The co-presidents of the UN Ocean Conference, Portugal and Kenya, the President of the General Assembly, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Excellencies, as the co-chair of the first Ocean Conference, I am proud to pass the mantle of leadership to our co-hosts, Portugal and Kenya. Today, I'm also privileged to speak for the Pacific Islands Forum member countries and territories. Excellencies, it was Portugal's son, Ferdinand Magellan, who named our ocean the Pacific for its peaceful waters. 500 years later, we, the Pacific people, have come to Portugal to tell you that our waters are rough and they are rising. The life they sustain is dying, and we are fighting for our very survival. The terrible irony is that although we owe our past and present to the ocean, climate-driven sea level rise could erase the future of our lowest lying members. Among other measures vital to the security, the adoption of a 2050 strategy for our Blue Pacific continent will reaffirm our state's collective declaration that even if our land is lost to the rising seas, our rights over the maritime zones and resources will not be. Meanwhile, the ocean's warming has made us witness to a staggering decline in marine life. Fisheries are our region's most precious resource. We supply more than half of the world's tuna alone. And our nations will be following COP15 closely to ensure that all life, including that below water, is protected in this critical year of biodiversity. We also hope to see an ambitious, legally binding treaty of the high seas next month. To stem the tidal wave of unregulated pollution crashing at our shores, we too look forward to the upcoming negotiations for a global treaty of plastics. And we totally condemn any threat of ocean dumps of nuclear waste. This would be both catastrophic and horribly traumatic for the Pacific people who still suffer from the nuclear testing inflicted on our region. We also reaffirm our Pacific Island Forum leaders' call for a dedicated ocean work program in the UNFCCC, built on the Glasgow decision, and urge a dedicated agenda at COP27 for parties to review the summary report of the Bonn Dialogue. We need a healthy climate and ocean, like we need food to eat and air to breathe. For the sake of our ocean and future, our leaders will be resolute in keeping 1.5 alive in Egypt, as should anyone who cares about life below water or above it. Mr. President, we face two possible futures, one in which our ocean becomes our greatest opportunity, and the other in which it is degraded beyond recognition. If we don't both act for the former, the latter is inevitable. The ocean is the planet's healthiest set of lungs, yet the least funded of all SDGs. We cannot leave Lisbon without scaling up ocean finance. Fiji has the will to put resources behind the most far-reaching transformation in our history. We have already banned deep seabed mining, and by 2030, 100% of our waters will be sustainably managed and 30% designated as marine protected areas. Today, we go further. Next year, the Laos Seascape, an area of ocean that represents 8% of our waters, will become a marine protected area. Thank you. We've already banned single-use plastic bags, and by 2030, we will ban virtually all single-use plastic and recycle all PET bottles. Ocean literacy will be a mandatory component of our education system, and we'll slash carbon emissions in our shipping sector by 40%. After fully mapping out our entire 1.3 million square kilometers EEZ by 2025, we will achieve a total real-time surveillance of Fiji's waters. And by 2030, we will produce more than 160,000 metric tons of sustainably farmed and harvested ocean product, supported over 53,000 new jobs on our way to supply half of all blue foods from sustainable fisheries by 2035. And by 2050, Excellencies, Fiji will be a net zero society. Our fisher folks will have universal access to electric outboard motors. The Pacific will be home to a green shipping fleet. All fishing nets in Fijian waters must be biodegradable, and we intend to create 100,000 new jobs, more than a tenth of our current population, in the sustainable fisheries sector. These protection excellencies can't wait. These investments cannot wait, nor can the jobs they create. And Fiji won't wait for the world to plug the gap in global ocean finance. We will launch the first tranche of a blue bond by this August to blue our economy and take on external threats like overfishing and acidification. That's a world's burden that Fiji will be borrowing to bear. But no matter how ambitious or how big and blue Fiji's commitment may be, our single effort is not enough. That is why I'm here, to call on our partners for their support and on the world to follow our lead. Thank you.
I thank the Prime Minister, Minister for High-Tech Affairs, Sugar Industry, Foreign Affairs and Forestry, Republic of Fiji, and we all thank Fiji for the excellent first conference. Tenho agora a honra de convidar Sua Excelência